California is a very special state. We have some of the most sought-after schools in the country, but homes are some of the most expensive. Even lifelong California residents can find it too expensive to retire here. But veterans have an earned advantage that can make all these California dreams come true. Stay with us as we discuss special benefits for California veterans. Thanks for tuning in Veterans Voices. I'm your host, Joshua Zebley, and my co-host is Elena Kim. In the studio with me is Buck Carmichael of the Contra Costa County Veterans Service Office. Today we'll be talking about special benefits for California veterans. If you have questions or comments, just scan the QR code on your screen to join us in Zoom webinar. California veterans enjoy benefits that can help them throughout their life. Today we'll have an in-depth conversation about CalVet home loans and CalVet veteran homes, but we will start at the beginning with education. I want to welcome Eric Ensley, the Veteran Service Officer for Orange County, to help us explain tuition fee waivers. Welcome to the show, Eric. Thank you for joining us all the way down there in Orange County.
Hi, Josh. Good afternoon, Josh and Elena. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Of course. So, Eric, can you tell us what is the college tuition fee waiver, or what we call it the CalVet college tuition fee waiver, and who is it for?
Tuition fee waiver is a state of California benefits for dependents of eligible veterans. It covers tuition fees at any California community college, Cal State University, or UC school. It does not cover private schools and does not cover books, parking, or room and board expenses.
All right, so I really want to set the stage because this is a tremendous benefit. If you're a veteran and you're watching our show today, pay attention, because especially if you have college-age kids or kids in high school who are about to start college, this is where you want to start paying attention. So we've got Eric here from Orange County. He's our subject matter expert, talking about the college tuition fee waiver. Eric, how many college tuition fee waiver plans are there? Because this can get a little confusing for folks who are thinking about applying.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lena. There are a total of 4 plans for the college tuition fee waiver. But in Orange County Veteran Service Office, we process applications under 2 plans. That's Plan A and Plan B.
And tell us why it's important to know the difference between those 2 plans. And if I'm a veteran or I'm a college-age student who is a dependent of a veteran, why do I need to know about Plan A and Plan B?
Yes, each one of those different plans have different eligibility requirements. And I'll start with who qualifies under Plan A. To qualify for Plan A, the veteran must be 100% service-connected disabled and have wartime service. Eligible dependents include unmarried children ages 14 to 27, or up to 30 years old if the child is also a veteran. Spouses and unmarried surviving spouses have no age limit. They are eligible as well. The other requirement under Plan A, dependents of a veteran who is missing in action, or captured or forcibly detained during service is one of the qualifying for Plan A.
How about Plan B? I think that's the more frequently used, right? Plan B, Eric?
It is. Plan B is usually the most frequently used. I will say that under Plan A, before we go to Plan B, there are no income requirements under Plan A. However, you cannot use Chapter 35 education benefits that are available to dependents of veterans by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. Eligibility under Plan B, however, there is an income requirement. Plan B is only for children of veterans, including biological, adopted, and stepchildren. The veteran doesn't need to have wartime service, but does need to meet one of the 3 requirements that make them eligible under that plan. They have to have a service-connected disability. Any percentage, anywhere from 0 to 100% would work. They have to have a service-connected disability when they passed away or prior to death, and they died from a service-connected cause.
So I'm pretty shocked to hear that this is not just for the children, but it sounds like extends to a qualified spouse of the veteran or a child who is a veteran themselves. How important is that to know about? If I'm a young veteran, wouldn't I just use my GI Bill? Why would I use this instead of that?
Well, that's a very good question, Elena. We do get that a lot here in the Veteran Service Office. Spouses are not eligible under Plan B. Spouses are eligible under Plan A only, and the other two, Plan C and D. The benefit of knowing the difference between the two is really important under Plan B because of the biological children, adopted children, and stepchildren that could become eligible under the plan. Plan B also has an income limit. The income cap based on the student's income only, not the parents. That does include the adjusted gross income and any support from the parents. So the AGI and the contributing amounts from the parent can exceed a certain threshold by CalVet rules. The limit changes every year, and you really don't have to have an amount on our website, or you can find an amount on our website at our veterans.ocgov.com. We do post those on our site so people can actually look at it along with their a checklist for both plans.
The fee waiver, so go ahead.
I was just going to ask, Eric, I think they recently changed it from a federal limit to the state limit. Are you able to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So the state, CalVet did adjust it. It still is looking at the income threshold based on the poverty limits. That does use the poverty guidelines from the feds. CalVet managed to increase the AGI amounts every year under the poverty threshold from the feds.
That sounds like a pretty big impact so let's back up here. A lot of people, I think, mistakenly think this is the veteran's benefit. And so therefore, when I'm submitting my application to a county veteran service office to apply for the college tuition fee waiver, it's my parents, the veterans, whether it be mom or dad or maybe both, they have to submit their tax documents to show you that they're under the federal, poverty limit. And that's wrong, right? So you're saying that it is the student's income for the past year that you're looking for. What kind of documents are you asking for the student to share their income?
Well, the required documents for the student to share that income is just their tax documents. If they don't have their tax filing from the previous calendar year, preceding the academic year where they plan to enter the school or university, they can do what's called their, it's called the
letter from the franchise tax
yes,
board?
they can get a notice of non-filing from the franchise tax board for the state of California or the IRS.
And that's basically just a letter saying the student did not work or did not earn income, and therefore they weren't required to submit taxes, and so they're not going to have tax documents to send into your office. Is that correct, Eric?
That is correct. But the non-filing letters are essential, especially if they did not file taxes, especially through our online portal. We do look for those non-filing letters if we don't see the state or federal tax filing.
So the CalVet tuition fee waiver is one of those benefits that the California Department of Veterans Affairs, so I'll just, for the viewers, we have the federal VA, the United States government, the federal government, we have the state VA, CalVet, and we have the county VA where myself, Buck, and Eric work. So the federal government GI Bill, CalVet tuition fee waiver, the state, and then we have the county where we work, where you need to take your income documents, you need to fill out your fee waiver form, bring it to our office, and then we get that back or you take it back to the school. But this is one of those benefits that California is saying, we're a veteran-friendly state. We're gonna give your dependents, based on your service connection, even if it's 0%, free tuition at any of these community colleges, any state school, or any UC, which is state-funded school. That's what it means. So you're thinking SD, San Diego State, UC Santa Barbara, UCLA, UC Berkeley, you name it, you're going there for about, you guys can correct me, about 95% tuition off. And when I think about that, I think about telling my high school junior or my high school sophomore, all you got to do is get in and it's paid for. You pretty much have a scholarship based on your parents' sacrifice that they made and their sacrifice to service. That's huge. This changes lives. This is a benefit that I don't know if it's necessarily underused, but it needs to be advertised and brought out to people. Say, you can go wherever you want. This is a life-changing generational benefit where it's going to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I don't think we mentioned, you can get up to your master's degree in this. As long as it's state funded. I think there's even some state funded doctorates out there. You'd have to check with the school, and that's the most important thing. If you're in graduate school or anything higher, check with the school, make sure it's a state funded graduate degree, and you're going for free based on your income. And that blew me away before I started working in the veteran atmosphere. I think in our office, we did about 550 last year. Eric, you probably did more because you have so many schools around you. Every time a veteran comes in with their dependent, you're like, oh yes, this dependent is going to school free. That's such a life-changing benefit that I'm so happy it exists, and we tell everyone. That was a long elevator pitch, but that's the one that I talk about when I see veterans with their high school age student. Just tell your child to get in the school and come to our office.
Absolutely.
Right, Eric?
Absolutely. And that's really important. I know in our office, we want to recommend that anyone that has a dependent coming to the office seeking all the benefits, we do remind them quite a bit about the college tuition fee waiver so that they can inform their college bound student dependent at that moment. And also we make it a point of making sure that the families are aware that many schools do not waive summer session fees. So the students may have to pay tuition and fees if their college does not waive the summer session. So it's important for them to check with the school to verify the dates of the college they are applying to and if those dates during the academic year covers summer session.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Eric. And so I think that sometimes, so this is an amazing benefit, right? I mean, Josh is mentioning amazing schools in California, like UC Berkeley, UCLA. Absolutely. These are like top tier schools, right? But sometimes I think that people underestimate the amount of of work that you have to do to apply for the benefit, but also on the back end, once it is granted to you, to make sure that you're in constant communication with your school in order to make sure that it is being applied correctly on the back end. Eric or Buck, do you have any advice for our viewers just in terms of like, what are some great tips for people as they're applying? Make sure you know, or make sure you don't forget. And then on that back end, what are some good tips for how to make sure that you're communicating with your school to ensure that they're applying this benefit to your bill?
Sure, each school should have a certifying official that reports back to the VA that the student is attending classes and passing classes. You know, my advice is that they touch base with that certifying official, that they make some sort of contact, you know, have that personal relationship so that if something does fall off track, you have your county veteran service office that you have contact with, but you also can talk to someone at the school that could help, you know, kind of alleviate whatever problem that might be going on.
We touched
Absolutely.
this. Go ahead. Sorry, Eric.
No, absolutely. I agree with Buck. I mean, we definitely want to make sure that the students stay engaged with their campuses and talking to the certifying officials if there's issues that arise, and making sure, at least for our county, students who are residing in the county uh, and wanting to apply for these benefits, we do have both Plan A and Plan B on our website, um, where they can actually find a checklist under Plan A and Plan B if they ever have any questions about where to find documents. We recommend that they highly use that checklist and go over with their family members so that they can avoid any delays in the approval process.
Thank you, Eric. So we talked a little bit about the residency requirements, but I want to mention that a little bit more because California has so many active duty military bases that there's service members that are here from other parts of the country, you know, Texas, Arkansas, who knows where, and maybe they're not going to stay in California, but their dependents went to high school here. They want to stay in California. Does that veteran do they need to stay here, or can they just leave their child and have them go to wherever they want?
That's amazing. Absolutely no, the student does not, I mean, the veteran does not have to reside in the state of California. The student, if they're residing here and they're actually applying to these schools, as long as the veteran meets all the other eligibility requirements, they'll be able to use that benefit. And under Plan B, we had this experience here in our office where there was an out-of-state veteran who had a student going to one of our UC campuses. They received both Plan B as well as the ability to have the flexibility to use Chapter 35 through the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, which makes both benefits very flexible.
Okay, let's back up a second there, Eric. Can you, or Buck, if you want to jump in, explain to us what's Chapter 35?
Chapter 35 is the United States Department of Veterans Affairs dependency education uh, uh, allowance that they are able to get. That benefit requires the veteran to be 100% permanent and totally disabled. You will see that there is something very similar under Plan A, which under Plan A, that benefit has to be waived. So Plan B becomes the most attractive benefit for those eligible veterans when they're 100% permanent total for their students attending school.
Okay, so I know a lot of people get like confused when we say Chapter 35, Plan A, Plan B. The way that I used to remember it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if we're talking about a numbered educational program like 35 or 33, when people are mentioning those numbers in reference to an educational program, we're talking about a benefit that is granted to you through the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, right? Big VA. And then if we're talking about a letter like a Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, then we're talking about a benefit that is granted through the California Department of Veteran Affairs. So that's the state, right? But as Josh was saying earlier, I think what gets confusing is they're like, but now I'm coming into a county office. So you guys are neither VA nor state employees, you're county employees. And I have to apply for which plan here? So if you're a county veteran service officer or you work in a county veteran service office, and I'm just looking for some guidance here, and I can't get it straight by looking at the resources online. What do you recommend folks do?
I recommend that folks, when they do enter a county veteran service office throughout any one of our counties throughout the state, to really sit down with that office representative to have a conversation about the eligibility and differences between U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and state benefit. California State has a great education benefit under these plans, and it can be very confusing. We want to make sure that people are getting the greater benefit, and I think to be able to talk through the differences between the Chapter 35 being eligible, made available to dependents of veterans through the Department of Veterans Affairs, and then also having a conversation about the state benefit under Plan B and making sure, or Plan A, and making sure that they understand that they are eligible for those benefits under Plan B, as well as able to use the benefit under Chapter 35 for the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, but also what makes them not eligible to be able to receive Plan A if they're eligible for Chapter 35 and use those two in conjunction with each other. That waiving of Chapter 35 under Plan B is there for a reason because it does allow the surviving spouse or spouse of a veteran to attend school beyond the use of Chapter 35.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Eric.
so
And I
much,
know
Eric.
Josh
We
has
got to move on to our next segment. I'm sorry. Thank you, Eric. Next, we want to talk about CalVet home loans. We will be right back.
California can be one of the most expensive and difficult states to drive in, but did you know that veterans may be eligible to receive disabled veterans license plates, toll waivers, and registration fee waivers? Ask your local county veteran service office. Find one near you at nacvso.org.
We're talking about California benefits for California veterans. If you have any questions or comments, just scan the QR code on your screen and join us in Zoom webinar. Now we're moving on to the next phase in a veteran's life. You have finished your education and started a career, and now you're ready to buy a home. Brad Pedersen is here to tell us about CalVet home loans. Welcome, Brad.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for having me. Hi, Elena. I'm thrilled to be here.
Brad, I'm so happy to hear you and learn more about CalVet home loans from one of the experts and one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, Brad Pedersen from CalVet Home Loans. Brad, this is hard. We got about 19 minutes to talk about this, and I know you're so passionate about it. We're going to give it a shot, though. Brad, can just tell us who can apply for a CalVet home loan? We'll start there.
That's a great start. So the CalVet Home Loan Program is over 100 years old. And when it started, it was a thank you to World War I veterans coming home. So originally, it was just for veterans who entered their service life from California. But today, we've changed all that. Today, anyone who's currently active duty, currently serving anywhere in the world, anyone who entered service anywhere in the world, everybody can apply for the loan. And I highly suggest you do. They have to live in California within 60 days of getting their acceptance for a home and moving in, closing escrow. So everybody can apply. Please don't exclude yourself.
Thank you.
That's exciting. And congratulations on the 100-year history. That is amazing. And it's a real testament to how important this benefit has been to veterans securing home ownership in California, as Josh says, one of the most expensive states to live in, but don't get discouraged. So help me understand, Brad, what's the difference between the CalVet home loan and I always hear about the VA home loan? What's the difference there?
Great question. So actually, I get this question every week over and over, and I kind of came up with a pat answer that I teach people. Whenever I try to talk about the two different programs, I do it this way. I hold up a hand and I say, look, when we're talking about the federal VA home loan, it's kind of important that you understand federal VA doesn't actually loan the money. What federal VA does, Elena, is they issue this thing called a loan guarantee, which basically says to the bank making the loan or the lender, if the veteran defaults, they will protect the first 25% of loss. That makes that a very powerful loan. Mm-hmm. Now, CalVet is actually the state of California acting as a lender, and we have many different types of loans. We do farm loans, we do construction loans, we do loans for people buying a home that maybe needs a new roof. We have all kinds of programs, but my favorite program is when we actually take your federal VA home loan benefit and I fund it through the state of California. When I do that, something happens that no other lender can do. You get your federal benefits and your state benefits put together into one loan. It just makes it super powerful and flexible.
Amazing.
Thank you, Brad. So just to go on with the theme, homes are expensive in California. Is there limits of how much a loan can actually be in California? Or what's CalVet do with that?
So it's another great question. So actually, VA a few years back removed their loan limits. I mean, technically, you could get a a $50 billion VA home loan, but you can't find a lender who will make that loan. So every lender will have a limit on how much they'll loan out. Now, CalVet is aware of the prices in California, trust me. We actually will loan up to $1 million to a qualified veteran. You got to qualify anywhere in the state. But if you go into higher cost counties like San Francisco, Orange County, Los Angeles, we will loan up to $1.5 million. So with those prices, we're able to get a lot of veterans into homes when they didn't think they had a chance if they were looking at higher price properties. You do have to qualify, but I mean, technically a $1.5 million loan with zero down is pretty good.
Yeah, so we're talking about a loan. This is not a grant. And as you said, Brad, the veteran does have to apply. In this case, CalVet would be the lender, and there are loan limits just like any other lender out there. But I think what's so great about CalVet is that you guys working in the home loan department, you guys have a really unique job, right? I mean, are you guys getting commission for every loan that you give out to veterans? I'm just curious.
No. So, I mean, the truth is if you choose a job with CalVet, you've got to have some passion for what you're doing. Our loan officers are not commission based. Our loan officers, I like to kind of call them benefits officers because their job is to work with you. We actually train our officers, always tell them the truth. And if you can't approve the loan today, if something's not acceptable in their application, don't send them a rejection. Instead, suspend the file and tell them this is the path to home ownership. Give them directions on what they need to do to get ready. So a lot of times people will talk about us and they'll say, you know, you guys are different. Well, we really are. I mean, we're a state agency that funds ourselves. We don't get any money from the state. We run a program that pays for itself. Even our retirements and stuff is paid through the program. We're like a nonprofit. Everything is going back into the program. So with that, we have the ability to do things that most lenders don't do. We can work with a homeless veteran who needs help and take the time to go through all the steps to help them get into a home and figure it out with the help of a huge team of veteran resources.
Brad, one of the things I've heard you say, and vets, and anyone looking for a home loan is like, well, my credit score is not that good right now, or I don't have money down. I can't buy a home. What do I do? And my first advice is talk to somebody at CalVet Home Loans because, like you just said, they will guide you through that process. But can you tell us a little bit about what are the credit requirements? What is the money down? How can you assist? And there's other programs. I don't know if the Santa Ana program still exists, but we couldn't do this without you talking about if you went to Santa Ana High School, what's happening there?
I didn't go to Santa Ana High School, but I will talk about that. So when I got this job, I basically went to my superiors and I said, hey, I'm looking through this and I'm doing my job. If I help a veteran get into a home, whether it's through CalVet or any lender, isn't that right? And they said, well, yeah. And I said, and we always tell them the truth. That's one of the first things we train the loan officers. Can I take it a step further? And when I'm talking, can I talk about other programs that are not CalVet that I think are important for them to know that are good programs? I call them, heroes, people who are doing something good. So if you ever come to one of my classes on home ownership or something, you'll hear me talk about other programs. Josh alludes to my poster child. Santa Ana, California has a down payment assistance program today. They still have it, where they'll offer up to $120,000 at 0% interest. You don't have to pay them back for 45 years. And every couple of years, they add something. February 15th, they add it. If you're a veteran and you use their program, they will reduce the amount you owe them in 45 years. Every 5 years, $10,000 reduction, up to $40,000 reduced. And these are some of the programs that I'll talk about alongside the CalVet. And I don't want to lecture you, but that's the basics. So if you want to hear more, I'll tell you more.
These sound like amazing, life-changing programs. Okay, so I'm very excited. I want to use my CalVet home loan. But I've been hearing a lot about I've been watching a lot of YouTube, Brad, and hearing a lot about house hacking. And so maybe I want to buy like a bunch of different houses with the CalVet home loan. Can I have more than one home loan at a time and still use my VA home loan guarantee? How does that work?
It's a great question. So it's another area where CalVet does something that other lenders could do, but they just don't do it. I actually call it stretching entitlement. Now, with the CalVet program, it's important to understand we make one loan at a time to a veteran, and it's for their primary residence. We are not set up for rental property. There are exceptions, but I basically will tell somebody if they want to build an empire of homes, the first home they're buying, they should probably buy with a different lender, not CalVet. And after they've gotten into that home and they want to move to the next one, that's when they contact us and we do this thing called stretching entitlement. I made that name up, but basically, if you already have a home, let's say you have a 2.25% interest rate. I just talked to somebody this week about this on a property, and you want to buy another property, or if you had a short sale foreclosure, math's the same. We will look at the remaining entitlement. It's some funky math, but at the end of the day, if you went to a lender, they would tell you how much you could borrow still on the second VA home loan. Now, what CalVet does often is we will take the amount that most lenders will take and we'll stretch it to get you into another home. If we can't stretch it enough, sometimes we'll ask for a small down payment. But this flexibility has gotten a lot of people into homes that just didn't think they had a chance to get a second home and retain that 2.25% VA home loan.
Wow.
So another something unique about CalVet home loans that I don't is the FICO score. I don't think we got to that, right? So
Sorry, yeah.
If I have a 600 and you have an 800, same rate?
It's not the same rate necessarily. Your FICO score will affect your rate. What happens is if you apply for a loan with most lenders, they will do what's called a desktop underwriting. They'll put your application through a computer system. And if your FICO is below 620, most of those lenders will reject you basically. And CalVet doesn't actually reject anybody based on a FICO score. We don't have a minimum FICO score. We do, though, you do have to make payments on time. What we're going to look at is how you've handled credit. I really want to see that you have at least 12 months of all your consumer credit paid on time to think you got a shot at it. You know what I mean? But if you have a 584 FICO, but you have 13 months credit paid on time, we might say that's good enough for us. A lot of situations in that FICO model, they don't show the true ability that you are displaying by your payment process.
We're talking about, the consumer's credit score here, but can you talk a little bit about the other side of that? What are CalVet home loan interest rates looking like right now? Because interest rates are top of everyone's mind. The home prices in California are already high enough, so just, a couple of points in interest could make or break a deal.
They could. So I have learned on any kind of a broadcast or review or taped type thing, I don't talk about specific interest rates because it could change, right? CalVet interest rates in general do not change very often. What I do recommend if you were coming to a home buying class, that surprises people, I think sometimes, but I think everybody should get at least 2 or 3 estimates of financing from different lenders. Now, I do recommend CalVet be one of those. But what I want you to do is find the interest rate for CalVet, find the interest rate for your other lender or 2, and then also find out how much the insurance is going to cost. If you do those 3 things, when you come time to buy the home, it'll be clear which one you want to pick. But that homework is just often not done. People will spend 3 months looking for a house and 15 minutes choosing a lender. And you really should be looking for that financing. Now, the CalVet rate is available at calvet.ca.gov every single day. It's right there. You can go and you can see it. And we've been very, very aggressive. The truth is I was on the phone last night late. Someone had called and she said, hey, it said 48 hours, someone would get back to me. And I explained to her, I'm sorry, our loan officers are really, really busy because our rate has been really good. And she understood. And actually, I found out the lender actually reached out to her last night. It just was a little longer than she was hoping for. So please, by the way, if you apply for the loan, understand that we're under a lot of pressure right now. We're trying to get to everybody. We love you. We want to help you. We just can't always be there instantly.
It's a good problem to have.
Yes, it's a great problem to have, and we love it.
And Brad, you had mentioned some of the insurance. I've heard that there are some strong benefits with the CalVet insurance that are applied with the homes. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
I can. So I'm not an insurance specialist, but what I will tell you is, and I better preface this, you can only have the CalVet insurance if you fund your loan through CalVet. You cannot switch to the CalVet insurance if you have a current VA loan with anybody else. You can't do it. You can only have it if you're here. I'm in a hotel room. I'm sorry. The phone's ringing for the hotel. The important thing to understand is that our insurance is special. We basically cover everybody in the whole state. We kind of get a discount because of that. We're not a for-profit, so we pass that along. So you're sort of getting discounted insurance rates. That's why I said always check the rates. And you're going to get this fantastic coverage. You're going to get flood insurance, even if you're next to a river in a flood zone. You're going to get fire insurance, even if you're up on top of a hill in San Francisco in a house that's 100 years old. You're going to get hazard insurance, and you're going to get fire insurance, even if you're in an area where the FAIR plan seems to be taking over. This is a fantastic advantage right now that I would tell you, you really need to get those three lenders out, lay them out, and decide what's best for you. I think you're going to be very happy, and you'll probably be working with us.
Right, I know you said you're not an insurance professional, and you explained it very well, but the deductibles, like how much it costs to, if you don't know the current rate right now, I know that's fine, but in Paradise, I've heard you say this before, what it costs to rebuild those veterans' homes after the tragic fires 6 years ago, what was that? And in Los Angeles, I mean, what's going to be happening here soon?
So I expect the deductibles to go up. I expect the deductibles to be higher. I think they're probably about $1,000 today. During the Paradise fires, we lost 26 homes. All of those were rebuilt for $250. But our deductible, like everybody else, has gone up a little bit. That's partially to get rid of the smaller claims so we're not so busy, I think, as part of it. But I expect that to continue up. I started talking a couple of years ago that I was sure our insurance policy rates would go up, and I was shocked to find out they had just gone up a teeny bit. But I still expect everything to go up. So I would tell you, hey, just compare. You know, you've got to get it to compare, but I can't quote the exact, especially in this format, of what it would cost.
And CalVet has been working on, go ahead, Elena, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I'm super convinced, Brad. How do I apply?
So we have COVID to thank for this one issue. Basically, during the COVID area, we came up with a very simple application. Normally, if you apply for a loan, you fill out an 8-page loan application called a 1003. You give it to the lender. On our website at calvet.ca.gov, if you go there and go to the home loans page, you'll see a button that says Apply Now. If you click on that button, you'll have a very short, easy application. It's kind of just getting your information. And you'll fill that out in a minute and a half. You'll click submit. It'll say, hey, thanks for applying for your CalVet loan. Someone's going to reach out to you in 48 hours. Please be graceful to them if they don't make it. And then it'll ask for your bank statements, your W-2, and your pay stubs. They'll ask for that later. I'm sorry. They'll tell you they're going to want that when they send you. My computer is low on battery. If I lose you, I really apologize. It just clicked up and it's plugged into the wall, so I don't know why.
Murphy's Law is part of the show
if you
now.
send that, you'll get in line. Someone's going to reach out to you, and they'll talk to you, and it'll be just this kind of a conversation. They really care. They really want to help, and they'll take the time to do what needs to be done to get you into the house. That's what we want to do. We want to say yes.
And the CalVet Home Loan site has an amazing calculator tool that you can use to determine I know it's an estimate, but purchase price, your monthly payment. I think that's a great tool to get you started before you reach out to CalVet, right? I mean, that's
You
something.
can use that. You can use that, and you can even look at our website if we have any homes for sale. We rarely do, but sometimes we do. I also would highly recommend looking through the whole CalVet uh, webpage. There's so much information on there that people just don't know about. Everywhere I go, and I travel the whole state, I constantly hear, "I wish I would have known that." And that's sort of become my mantra to try to overcome. I want people to understand this information. So
Brad, we have about 90 seconds left. You're in an elevator, and we like to do this on the show, the elevator pitch. I don't have all day to hear about what a CalVet home is, but I want to really tell this person what it is. What should I tell them? What should the viewers know when they go away today and tell their friend, I heard about CalVet Home Loans? Go, Brad.
So CalVet Home Loans is a place where you can come that you're going to get personalized attention, not by a commission-based salesperson. You're going to get somebody that is going to try to tell you the truth and help you to obtain ownership. Whether you're ready today or not, they're going to work with you. They're also going to do something unique in that they're going to be able to take the federal benefits and the state benefits and put them into one loan like nobody else can do. So you're going to get extra stuff. So my recommendation with the CalVet loan is try us. Give us a call. Get the application. I think almost everybody who does it ends up very happy they did it. We also find when we look through our loans that we've done that many of the people that we actually do loans for have been told no by at least 2 lenders before they get to us. 2 other lenders said, no, you're not ready. And we've looked a little deeper, dug a little bit more, and we've said, yes, we want to back you and get you into a home.
Thank you so much, Brad. I'm happy that you were able to join us. CalVet Home Loans is amazing. We'll be back in just a minute to talk about CalVet Veterans Homes.
California has some of the most beautiful state parks in the world. But did you know that veterans can get a state park pass and fishing and hunting licenses for free or at an extreme discount? Go to calvet.gov and search for state park pass or fishing and hunting license.
We are talking about benefits for California veterans. If you have any questions or comments, just scan the QR code on your screen to join us in Zoom webinar. We're moving on in veterans life. You have retired and you want to find a place to spend your golden years. You may need some help with basic tasks or even require skilled nursing. We're going to talk a little bit about CalVet Veterans Home, which is different than CalVet Home Loans, which you just talked about, which is obviously different than CalVet tuition fee waiver. But the theme is we are talking about veterans, or we're talking about veteran benefits that the state of California is really saying, hey, we're going to show California veterans some love. So California has 8 veterans homes located throughout California. And just throughout California, we have Yountville all the way down to LA. In those home loans, there's 4 different types of services that they provide, and I'm going to list those when I find them. And Elena and Eric, you can help me out. Buck, please, as well.
Well, let's just jump in on the Yountville one. That's one that we talk about in our office a lot. Of course, it's right in the Napa Valley. It's very sought after, beautiful, serene type of place, and there's a lot of different activities that are offered within there, as well as varying levels of care. So, as a veteran decides to go to a home like this, independent care, they walk right in, and as their level of care grows, so does that care from within the home. So there are levels that you have to pay a certain percentage. I believe for independent care, it's about 55%. And then as it goes up of your income, it just increases. So it's a great thing where you can just plan ahead and know that that's going to be your forever home.
Yeah, and I want to kind of back all the way up here to what are veterans homes, because I don't want to assume that folks at home know, right? I think there's a common misconception that if you are a veteran, regardless of what your need is, from the moment until you enter the afterlife or, the renewal or whatever you believe in, the VA is taking care of you, right? And so when we say vet homes, we're talking about a system of long-term care that is provided to aged and disabled veterans in the state of California by the state of California, right? So this is not, these are not VA-run loans, and we're not talking about VA-funded housing. We're talking about a network of homes in the state of California that are run by CalVet. And Josh earlier was talking about how there are levels of care in these homes, right? So there's 8 facilities across the state of California, all run by the state of California. And the levels of care are going to range from independent living to assisted living to skilled nursing care and to memory care. So I really just wanted to make that point. Eric, Buck, if you guys want to jump in, I think one of the biggest questions that viewers have with these CalVet state homes is like, who's eligible and how do they apply?
And the application process can be rather difficult. It's a very long application, and it's broken down into Part A, B, C, and I believe D. And it does require some things from the veteran. They do have to have VA health care. They need to be enrolled in that. There are certain testing, medical testing. They have to make sure that the veteran is, not potentially a hazard in that environment as well. So I believe tuberculosis testing is another one of those that has to be completed before they're accepted into a home like that. But as Elena said, once you're in that home, everything is taken care of at that point for you.
Some of the overarching eligible, you need to be 55 or homeless or disabled, a veteran serving on active duty, a California resident. The discharge status has to be active duty under conditions other than honorable. And then, like Buck said, you have to have medical insurance, which can be via healthcare. So you need to submit your DD-214 or an equivalent of a DD-214. So it's not that it's any different than a lot of other benefits. There's age requirements and there's service connection requirements for some of them. And we didn't get to mention where these homes are at, which I think is uniquely important because they're all the way from Chula Vista to Redding, with Fresno, Ventura, Lancaster, West LA in the middle, and there's a lovely one in the desert in Barstow as well. Yountville happens to be about 150 years old. I think it's the second oldest home in the United States, definitely the oldest in California.
Yeah, I haven't been out to Yountville yet, but I think from what I hear, it's beautiful. Eric, it looked like you want to jump in there, but I wanted to ask, going back to like, how do veterans apply? Do they come into a county veteran service office to apply, or is the recommendation that they apply online or like walk into a veteran's home if I happen to live next to one? What are your thoughts on that, Eric?
And assist veterans and their families with the application process. I'm very excited and proud to have a Mental Health Services Act case manager and navigator who's been very successful in working with our West LA veterans home to get veterans in. Some things that we definitely want to put out to a lot of our veterans is that priority of admission and how we strongly encourage those veterans who are experiencing homelessness, who may meet the age requirements, looking for a place where they can get into the veterans home. We'll assist them with that. Veterans who are 70% or more service connected does meet that priority group. And Medal of Honor recipients also are in that priority group. So we get a chance to help veterans explore their options and help them with their paperwork and gathering the documentation that's needed for submitting to the CalVet home loans. And we do actually submit on their behalf when they meet all that requirements. It helps speed up the review process for CalVet when they do have those applications on file.
I think that one of the rumors that I hear often in the veterans community is like, these homes are amazing, and B, there's not enough of them, but also I always hear that there's a wait list.
Holly Holtzen, the administrator of the Veterans Home in Yountville, is here to discuss CalVet Veterans Homes. Welcome, Holly. Can you hear us?
You were just talking about the wait list, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
is there actually a wait list, Holly? Like, what would you say to people that say, "Oh, I'm not even going to bother to apply"?
Oh, you should absolutely apply. So we have 8 homes, and the wait list is based off the home, but also the level of care you're needing. So here in Yountville, which we are the oldest and largest veterans home in the country, and it can be considered kind of the wild, wild west here in wine country. But depending on what level of care you need, there may not be a wait list. So, for example, here in Yountville, for independent living domiciliary care, there is no wait list. And that's for independent veterans who want to come and live on campus. And then when they're ready, or if they need additional care, whether it's assisted living, skilled nursing, or even memory care, they can move to those different levels.
Wow.
But if you're coming and applying now and you need skilled nursing, we do have a very long wait list at the moment. It's about 100 people. So you will be waiting quite a while. For
That's
assisted living, it's a little bit shorter, roughly 10 people, but it really depends on how much assistance you need within that level of care. So it's absolutely worth applying. And if you're flexible, perhaps one of our other homes could also serve your needs if you're willing to move to a different location across the state.
Beautiful. And we talked earlier, we already touched on some of the eligibility requirements for veterans, but is it true that non-veteran spouses can also apply? What would you say to that, Holly?
Yeah, absolutely. So non-veteran spouses need to file a joint application with their veteran spouse or domestic partner. So it's this joint application. They need to have lived and resided with their spouse or domestic partner for a year or longer, be 55 years or older, homeless or disabled, be a California resident, and be covered under a medical insurance policy. The one caveat to that is if you're a surviving non-veteran spouse or domestic partner of a deceased Medal of Honor recipient or ex-POW, you can still apply without the veteran applicant.
I'm glad that you included the dependents because that was definitely going to be one of the questions. And I don't know if this is a question that surviving spouses would probably have. Well, if I apply with my veteran, what happens if that veteran, if I live longer? Do I need to leave this place or am I admitted? Just a question that I think can relieve a lot of questions.
That is a fantastic question. And no, we are here. Once you are admitted to our home, we are committed to your care and helping you holistically throughout the rest of your life. So you can stay on campus, and as the spouse or domestic partner needs more care, you'll just move through the different levels of care.
Thank you. Can you tell us about some of the activities that go on daily in there? I know you have some fun. They're veterans. They like to have fun, run around. I know some of them have golf courses. So let's hear about things like that. What can veterans expect when they're there besides the normal?
Right. So there are a ton of activities, and Yountville is very unique. We do have a golf course adjacent to our property. It's actually technically part of our property, but it's leased out. And our veterans get a discount to play golf. We also do a lot of activities here in the Valley, whether it's taking our home members out for wine tastings, having barbecues. This weekend, we have a very large motorcycle club coming on campus. So if you're into motorcycles, this weekend's for you. We even have our own baseball field and baseball team, the Mixed Nuts. So if you're really into sports, you can join our softball team and play against some of our local other teams.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
And I almost forgot, we have a bowling alley.
Save us a spot, Holly.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Just a couple more years and I'll be ready to apply. A question about applying. So when a veteran is, we mentioned that the application process can be lengthy, and that totally makes sense. Can you apply to multiple at the same time and just kind of go to the one that opens up your level of care? Or do you need to like pick one and then get turned down? Because that could be super lengthy. How does that process work?
Yeah, so when the veteran is applying, you get to pick which homes you're interested in, and you can check as many or as few as you want. So if you're trying to stay in Northern California, you might say, well, I'm really interested in Yountville or Redding. If you're further south, there's a little bit more to choose from, whether it's West LA or Lancaster or Ventura. So there's lots of options, and you don't have to put in an application every time,
Thank you so
or
much,
for
Holly.
every facility, rather.
Thank you for joining us, Holly, and thank you, Eric and Elena and Buck, for helping out there. That we went through a kind of a life cycle here of education, home buying, and then eventually, you know, you might find yourself at a fun place like Yountville. So that is our discussion. I want to thank all of our guests today. There's been so many benefits available to veterans. Reach out if you have a benefit that you earned and deserve. You'll be surprised how much you can add to your life.
We hope that you've enjoyed our conversation about California veterans benefits. To learn more about the tuition fee waiver or any veterans benefits, contact your local Veteran Service office. Find one in your county at nacvso.org. To learn more about CalVet home loans or CalVet veterans homes, go to calvet.ca.gov and click on Housing. To rewatch today's episode, check back on our homepage later this week or check your cable provider's schedule for rebroadcast times. You can also rewatch this episode and many others on our YouTube channel, Veterans Voices of Contra Costa, so be sure to subscribe. Click on the link or scan the QR code to find us on all our social media channels. Our next show will air on Wednesday, July 9th at noon. We'll be talking about suicide prevention for women veterans. It's a very important subject that you won't want to miss. To all our veterans and their families, thank you for serving. To all of you who tuned in today, thank you for watching and have a great day.